Chosen one, there is something I need to tell you right now, and I want you to hear it, not just in your mind, but in the deepest place in your chest, where the truest things land. God did something for you, not something he has done for thousands before you, not something written in history books as a recurring pattern, not something folded into the general plan for all people of faith. He did something specific, something personal, and something that had never been done before in all of time. He moved differently because of you. And the reason he did it is more tender than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. You have been carrying something lately that has no clean name. It is not quite doubt and not quite confidence. It is the feeling of standing at the edge of something enormous, while the visible evidence has not yet caught up with what you know is true in your deepest knowing. You have prayed, you have waited. You have watched others seem to step into things they were made for, and you have wondered in the quiet hours whether God sees your specific situation the way you believe it deserves to be seen. Whether the details of your life, not just the general shape of it, but the exact texture of it, matter to him the way they matter to you. I want you to know today that they do, not in the general way that a sovereign watches over a kingdom. He watches over you the way a father watches the window for the one child still not yet home. And what he did because of you is something I have been preparing to say in exactly the right way, at exactly the right moment, because moments like this one do not arrive by accident. They are arranged. They are scheduled in a realm that does not use calendars the way we do, but that has a precision we are only beginning to understand. Before I tell you what happened, I need you to know how this message found you. There are 5 signs that mark the person this word was sent to reach. This is not a general broadcast into the world. It is a specific transmission addressed to a specific soul. And the way you will know it is addressed to you is not by feeling good about it. It is by feeling recognized by it. The way you feel recognized when someone describes an interior experience you thought only you had ever had. The first sign is a sense of being set apart that has nothing to do with superiority. You do not feel better than others. You feel different from others in a way that is quieter and older than ego. Something that was present before you were old enough to name it. Something that has followed you through every season of your life, even when you tried to talk yourself out of it. Your path has always bent in directions that others around you did not seem to have to navigate. The obstacles on your road have been real and specific and have required something from you that a more comfortable life would not have developed. You have known for a long time, even when you did not say it aloud, that you were made for something that ordinary language does not fully hold. The second sign is a season that does not have a name other people seem to understand. It is not depression. It is not confusion, though confusion has visited. It is something more like a sacred suspension, a held breath between what was and what is coming, a place between chapters where the new chapter has not yet begun, but the old one is clearly finished. You have been in this place longer than you expected when you first arrived, and the length of it has tested something in you that you did not know was available to be tested. It has tested your trust, not in the existence of God, but in His specific attention to your specific circumstances. That is a deeper and more delicate test than most people talk about. The third sign is a hunger for the actual presence of God that cannot be satisfied by information about God. You have sat in rooms filled with correct theology and walked away still thirsty, because what you are looking for is not a concept to hold in your mind, but a contact that changes something cellular in your body. You want the real encounter. You want the kind of visitation that leaves a person unable to fully explain what happened to them, only that they are not the same as they were before it came. And that hunger, rather than fading the longer it goes unsatisfied, has grown sharper with time, which is itself a sign that what you are hungry for is real and near. The fourth sign is a surrender that has not yet been publicly redeemed. You gave something up that cost you genuinely. Not a token offering, but a real sacrifice. One that people who did not witness the full weight of it cannot fully appreciate. The return on that surrender has not come in the form you carried in your heart when you made it. The restoration has not arrived on the schedule you believed it would arrive on. And the waiting has confronted something in you about faith, about trust, about whether the God who asked for the surrender is truly the God who intends to honor it. That question is not a sign of weak faith. It is a sign of deep faith that has been asked to go further than it expected to go. The fifth sign is the one that will not let you stop. Something in you persists past the point where persistence is rational. You cannot explain it to people who do not have it. It does not feel like stubbornness. It does not feel like refusal to accept reality. It feels like loyalty to something you heard before you had words for it. A quiet voice that has been saying the same thing since before you could read, and that has not changed its message despite everything the years have brought to contradict it. That voice is not a delusion, it is a commission, and the fact that it has not grown quiet despite the silence from the other side is evidence not of your naivety, but of the reality of what commissioned it. If 3 or more of those belong to you, type 777 inches, the comments, because what is about to unfold in this message is not information. It is the beginning of a recognition that has been building in the spirit for longer than this moment. Now, let me tell you what God did. I want to be careful here because the precision matters. In the long and extraordinary record of how the divine has moved in the lives of human beings across every age and every tradition that has ever known the living God, there is a framework. God works within patterns. He operates through seasons, through process, through the long arc of faith that bends over decades before it arrives at its fulfillment. Covenants are established, promises are given, methods are revealed, and then those methods are honored across generations because they work and because consistency is itself a form of faithfulness. But there are moments that those who have studied the sacred texts across every tradition describe with a kind of reverence that sets them apart from every other kind of theological discussion. Moments when God steps outside of his own established patterns. When he reaches into a situation and responds in a way that has no template in what he has done before. Not because he forgot the pattern, not because the pattern failed, but because the specific person in the specific moment, with the specific combination of their story and their pain and their calling and their surrender, required something that had never been required before in quite this form, and he moved to provide it. Not because it was in the precedent, but because you were in his heart. There is a reason the sacred texts spend so much time on the specific, on the individual names, on the genealogies, and the precise circumstances, and the exact words exchanged in the exact moment of encounter. It is because God is not a general principle applied uniformly across a sea of identical situations. He is a person in relationship with persons, and the relationship he has with you is not a copy of the relationship he has with anyone else who has ever lived. The particular sequence of your suffering and your faith and your surrender and your waiting and your refusal to stop, that sequence exists nowhere else in all of human history. And God, who is not constrained by precedent, responded to it in a way that nothing that came before your story prepared him to have already done. I want to tell you something now, and I want you to hold it lightly at first, because the fullness of it is going to come in layers. What God is doing in your life from the outside, in the realm of circumstances and timing and divine arrangement, has a corresponding activation that is happening in you from the inside. not metaphorically, not as a poetic way of describing spiritual growth. Something is being activated in you at a level that science has been quietly confirming for decades, and that most people have never been told about in this way. There is a mechanism in the human brain that God built into every person from the moment of their design. A mechanism that most adults carry in a dormant state without knowing it, and that when it is reactivated does not just change how a person thinks, it changes what a person is able to receive. It changes what becomes possible in their life. It changes the entire range of what they can access from the invisible realm into the visible one. I am going to tell you more about this later, at the right moment, because the timing of when you hear it matters as much as the content of it. But I want you to hold this seed right now. It connects directly to what God has done for you. And when the two pieces meet in this message, something in you is going to click into place in a way that feels less like learning and more like remembering. God is not finished with this message. There is a revelation coming in what follows that will shift the way you understand your own story from the inside. Not like receiving information from outside yourself, but like a memory returning from a place in you that has been waiting for permission to speak. What has happened in your life is not a series of delays or divine oversights. It is the most precise preparation ever arranged for someone whose moment is finally arriving. Here is what God did, not in broad strokes, but specifically. He looked at the exact architecture of your life, every piece of it, the combination of everything you have walked through and everything you have been formed into by the walking, and he saw that you had arrived at a threshold that no one else in all of time had arrived at in exactly this way. Not because your life is more dramatic than other lives, though it may be, but because every life is a singular construction, and yours, with every piece of it, every delay, and every closed door, and every sacrifice you made, and every time you stayed when the rational response was to leave, has created a human being who stands in a position that no other human being has ever occupied. When God looked at that position, at what was required to honor what he put in you, at what it would take to bring to completion what he began in you before you were born, he made a decision. And the decision required him to move in a way he had not moved before. Not a departure from his character, which never changes, but an expansion of his method, a new application of his faithfulness to a set of coordinates that had never existed before. The coordinates of your story, your specific pain, your specific calling, your specific moment in history, the particular gap in the world that only you were shaped to fill. I want to tell you about two men whose stories carry the shape of what God is doing in yours right now, not because the details are identical, but because the pattern is the same and the God is the same. The first man was the most beloved of his father. He wore a coat that announced something about his future that the people around him were not yet ready to honor. His brothers, the people who shared his blood and his home, threw him into a pit and sold him to strangers who took him to a foreign land. He became a slave in a household where he did everything right and still ended up in prison through no fault of his own. He was falsely accused of something he did not do and imprisoned for years more, 13 years, from the pit to the palace. And during every one of those 13 years, from the outside, it looked exactly like abandonment. It looked like the promising beginning of a story that God had decided not to finish. But God was building something in Joseph that could only be built under that specific pressure. The administrative intelligence he would need to govern a kingdom under crisis was being formed. The capacity to hold enormous power without bitterness toward the people who had tried to destroy him was being constructed in the dark years of the pit and the prison. The ability to see divine pattern in what others experienced as only suffering was being developed through years of having no explanation for what was happening other than the quiet voice of faith. The particular inner architecture that would allow him to say to his brothers that what they intended for harm had been repurposed for something larger than any of them could have imagined. That inner architecture had no other school in all the world except the one God had enrolled him in. The 13 years were not a detour from the purpose. They were the direct path to it, the only path to it. When the moment arrived, God moved with a speed and scale that had no precedent in the way Joseph had moved through every year before it. He was in prison in the morning. By the afternoon, he was governing Egypt. Not a gradual rehabilitation, not a slow increase in visibility and responsibility, an immediate and total elevation to the exact position his preparation had equipped him to hold without being crushed by the weight of it. The completeness of the preparation was what made the swiftness of the provision possible. God did not need to ease Joseph into it because the preparation had been thorough enough to make a total arrival possible. And the same principle is at work in your story. The length and the weight of what you have been through is not evidence that God has been absent. It is evidence that what he is preparing to release to you requires the person you have become, not the person you were before the preparation began. The second man I want you to sit with for a moment was standing in a desert in front of something that should not have been possible, a bush that was fully on fire and not being consumed. Moses was 80 years old. He had spent the first 40 years of his life in a palace and the second 40 years in a desert. The second 40 having begun the morning, he fled from a failure that seemed to have permanently disqualified him from any meaningful role. He was tending the sheep of another man. He had no public standing, no visible influence, no platform from which to do the thing he had been born to do. By any human calculation, his moment had passed before it ever fully arrived. And the God who had put the calling in him was fully aware of what the human calculation said. God spoke to him from a burning bush. That specific form of divine address, fire that burns without consuming, had not appeared before in the recorded history of how God communicated his purposes to human beings. God was not following an established template. He was designing a new form of encounter specifically for Moses, because Moses, in that moment, required something that could not be argued with. Something that would arrest him completely before his rational mind could finish assembling all the reasons why he was the wrong person for the assignment. The bush had to be impossible because Moses needed something impossible enough to override the very persuasive case his history made against his own eligibility. God met him in exactly the form Moses needed, in a form that had never been needed before, and therefore in a form that had never existed before. Your burning bush is coming, not in the same form as Moses received it, because you are not Moses. Your encounter will be shaped for the exact state you are in right now, for the exact combination of faith and exhaustion and surrendered ambition and unextinguished calling that lives in you at this moment in your story. I want you to understand something about timing. God does not release his unprecedented provisions early. He does not release them to earlier versions of the people who are going to receive them. Not because he is withholding out of reluctance, but because certain realities, when received by an unprepared person, are not blessings. They are weights that crush. The preparation is not the obstacle to the provision. The preparation is the only reason the provision does not destroy the person receiving it. You have been in your formation season. Every element of what you have walked through has been forming something in you that is specifically suited to what is coming toward you. The patience has been forming authority. The obscurity has been forming depth. The disappointment has been forming the kind of faith that does not require evidence to sustain itself. The waiting has been forming the character of someone who can hold what God is about to release to them without losing themselves in it. This is not a comfortable message to sit with in the middle of a long and painful wait, but it is true, and the truth of it is what makes the arrival when it comes not just a provision, but a homecoming. Now, let me tell you about the physical dimension of what God is restoring, because the unprecedented thing He is doing in your life lives in two realms simultaneously, and you need to understand both. It lives in the realm of your circumstances, in the divine arrangement of timing and provision and door opening that is beginning to accelerate around you. And it also lives in the realm of something very physical, something in your own brain, something God designed into you as part of your original equipment, and something that most adults are carrying in a dormant state without knowing what happened to it or that it can be recovered. Research conducted across multiple institutions has confirmed that approximately 98% of children, when tested for the form of thinking that researchers call creative genius, test positive. 98%. Not a select and gifted minority. Nearly every child alive begins in this state, a state that scientists describe as whole brain activation, where both hemispheres of the brain operate in a synchronized and fully integrated pattern that produces the complete spectrum of human cognitive and perceptual and creative capacity. The capacity to see what others cannot see. The capacity to receive what the analytical mind alone would filter out. The capacity to operate in the full range of what God built the human mind to do. This is the state your brain was in when God first designed you and when you first arrived in the world. And then the systems take hold, not through one dramatic event, through the slow accumulation of educational pressure and performance demands and stress that settles into the neural connections between the two hemispheres at a cellular level over the course of childhood and early adulthood, progressively damping down the synchronization, progressively narrowing the operating range of the brain away from the full spectrum activation God intended and toward the narrower, more defended, more effortful mode that becomes the default for most adults. By adulthood, less than 1 person in 1,000 still operates in the state of whole brain activation that almost everyone began with. Less than 1 in 1,000. The genius God put in you at the moment of your design, the specific capacity your calling requires, has been dormant in most people for decades. And most people have never been told that is what happened, or that there is a specific way it can be restored. Type "I see it" in the comments right now. Because what God is doing in your life is not only about what He is arranging around you, it is about what He is waking up inside you. And that part of the story is exactly what we are building to. Here is the revelation that everything before it was building toward. The unprecedented thing God is doing for you has 2 faces. One is visible in your circumstances, in the way timing is shifting and provision is beginning to move in ways that have no natural explanation. The other is invisible, in the sense that most people do not know it exists, but it is physical. It is neurological, and the 2 of them are not separate things that happen to be occurring at the same time. They are the same thing, the same divine act of restoration, expressing itself simultaneously in the outer realm of your life and in the inner architecture of your mind. God designed you to operate at full capacity, not at the reduced capacity that modern life produces in almost every adult. Not at the narrow, defended, effortful mode that most people accept as normal because they have been in it so long, they have forgotten it is not their original state. He designed you with a brain that was meant to function in full integration, with both hemispheres working in concert, the analytical and the intuitive operating together, the way 2 hands operate together when they are used for what hands were made to do. and the calling He placed on your life. The specific version of your purpose, the exact thing you were designed to contribute to the world, requires that full capacity. Not a portion of it, all of it. This is why the waiting has been what it has been. Not because God was absent, but because releasing the fullness of what He prepared for you to a version of you operating at partial capacity would have been like releasing a symphony to someone who can only hear half the frequencies. It would not have been a blessing. It would have been a source of frustration that you had access to something you could not fully receive. God did not withhold the provision. He held it until the person receiving it would be able to take it fully into the life it was meant to transform. I want to tell you about the 3 ways you carry your calling, the 3 forms it takes in your interior life, because understanding them will change how you walk through the next season. The first is what I will call the pioneer shape. You have been called to do something that has not been done in your exact form before. You know this. You have always known this, even when you did not have language for it. The path you are supposed to walk does not have footprints ahead of you that look like your footprints. You have not been called to follow. You have been called to first. And firstness is a weight that people who were called to follow do not fully understand. The loneliness of it is specific. The uncertainty is specific. And the courage required is specific. But the firstness is not a burden God gave you. It is an honor He gave you, wrapped in what feels like a burden. The second form your calling takes is the shape of the witness. You have seen things in your spirit that most people around you have not seen. You have known things before they were visible. You have felt the approach of what was coming before others registered that anything was moving. That perception, that early access to what the Spirit reveals before the natural eye can confirm it, that is not imagination. It is a gift. And it is a gift that requires the full activation of the intuitive hemisphere of your brain, the part that processes pattern and symbol and frequency in a way the analytical hemisphere cannot access alone. The genius God placed in you for your calling specifically requires this capacity to be alive and operational. The third form is the cycle breaker. You are not just living your own story. You are breaking a pattern that has run in your lineage, in your environment, in the systems you grew up inside of. When you succeed in what you are called to, when the full capacity of what God built in you is operating at the level He designed it to operate, the reverberations do not stay with you. They travel. They reach the people who come after you. They change what is possible for the ones who will follow the trail you blazed. You are not fighting only for yourself. You are fighting for the people downstream from you who will only have the future they have because of what you chose to do now. How do you stay aligned while God is doing something unprecedented in your life? I want to give you 2 practical anchors. The first is this. When God is doing something unprecedented in your circumstances, it will feel unprecedented. It will not feel familiar. It will not match the framework of how His provision has come to you before. It will arrive in a form that your analytical mind will not immediately recognize as the answer to your prayer, because the answer will be larger and stranger and more structurally different from what you asked for than you were expecting. The way to stay aligned is not to wait until what is coming looks like what you prayed for. It is to stay obedient to what you are being asked to do right now before the full picture has revealed itself. The second anchor is this. The restoration of your full capacity, which is underway, will express itself first in small ways that you might be tempted to dismiss. A thought that comes with unusual clarity. A decision that seems obvious when it was murky before. A connection that forms that should not have been possible. A creative solution to a problem you have been stuck on that arrives fully formed. Do not dismiss these. They are the early signs of something coming back online in you, that has been dormant for a long time. They are God showing you, in advance, what it will feel like when the full restoration is complete. And they are invitations to orient yourself toward the larger thing that is moving toward you. Take a moment right now and do something for me. I want you to picture yourself at the edge of the largest door you have ever stood in front of. This is not a door from your past. It is not a door that is already open. It is the door that you have been walking toward for as long as you can remember, the one you have crossed desert seasons and pit years to arrive in front of. You are standing in front of it right now. You can feel the weight of it. You can feel the significance of what is on the other side. And I want you to notice something. The fact that you are standing in front of it means the walking is nearly done. The preparation that brought you here is nearly complete. You do not arrive at a door that is not about to open. The door does not let you walk far enough to stand before it unless it intends to let you through. There is something I have been building toward in this message, something I want to tell you that connects everything you have heard so far in a way that will make it impossible to unhear. Before I tell you, I want to be clear about one thing. What I am about to describe is not a spiritual practice, not a new theology, not something you need to believe a certain way for it to work. It is a physical tool that does something very specific to the brain. And it was discovered by scientists who were not working from a spiritual framework, which makes what it connects to in the spiritual framework of your life even more remarkable. Let me explain something to you plainly, without metaphor, because you deserve the plain version. Here is the why. The human brain has two hemispheres. For most adults, those two hemispheres operate in a state of reduced synchronization because of what modern life does to the neural connections between them over the course of a lifetime. The result is that most adults are accessing somewhere between 30 and 60% of their full cognitive and creative capacity, not because of a lack of intelligence, because of a physical disruption that they did not cause and that no amount of effort or discipline or positive thinking can reverse. Here is the what. A neurologist based in New York City named Dr. Daniel Barone has spent years developing a form of targeted auditory technology that works specifically on the synchronization between the two hemispheres. It is an 8-minute audio sequence that does not require any active participation from the listener. No meditation, no mantras, no visualization. You simply listen. And the technology does the work of restoring the neural synchronization that was present when you were a child and that your calling requires you to have access to now. Here is the who. The foundational research that Dr. Barone builds on is the work of Dr. Roger Sperry, whose studies on the two hemispheres of the brain won the Nobel Prize in 1981. Not a minor scientific paper. The Nobel Prize, the single most significant award in science given for work that proved the two-hemisphere architecture of the brain and what becomes possible when those two hemispheres work together the way they were designed to work. A woman from California had been trying for years to open channels in her life that felt permanently blocked. Meditation, affirmation, spiritual practices that helped but never fully delivered the clarity she was looking for. She began listening to the 8-minute sequence every morning with her earphones in. Within 10 days, she described what happened as a clearing, like something that had been sitting across a channel was simply no longer there. The clarity she had been working toward for years arrived not through more effort, but through the removal of the neural obstruction that effort could not address. A man from Texas, a business owner with 2 children, had been praying for years about decisions that felt foggy, about the sense that his mind was not operating at the capacity his family and his calling required. 2 weeks after beginning to listen, he described the change as his brain firing on all cylinders again. The fog that had been so consistent he had stopped registering it as fog was gone. What Dr. Barone built is called The Genius Switch. It is a digital audio track, 8 minutes in length, using a technology called neural sync technology, developed specifically to restore whole brain activation without the use of brainwave technology or any method that addresses only one dimension of the neural system. It is not available on any streaming platform, not on any marketplace, only through the official website, whose link I have placed in the description and in the pinned comment for this message. I am going to tell you something about the price in a moment. But first, I want to tell you what it is not. It is not a brainwave product. If you have tried audio products in the past that work by playing specific frequencies into your ears to produce a target state, this is categorically different from that. Neural sync technology does not work the way those products work. It works at the level of the synchronization architecture between the two hemispheres, which is where the real disruption happened and which is the level at which real restoration has to occur. The differentiation is significant, and it is the reason why people who have tried everything else report experiencing something different with this. The mechanism is different because the target is different. The target is not a temporary state. It is a permanent restoration of the synchronized operation that your brain was designed to maintain from birth. The Genius Switch is available at $39. I want to give you the full context for what that number represents. The people who first encountered what Dr. Barone built. His colleagues in neurology, who understood the years of development and the precision of the mechanism, assessed its value at $500. Not a promotional anchor, an honest valuation from professionals who knew what it cost to build what he built and what it produces in the people who use it. The list price was set at $49, already a reduction of more than 90% from that original valuation. For a limited time, on this specific page only, Dr. Barone made available an additional $10 reduction, bringing the price to $39. At that price, every purchase comes with a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee, with no conditions attached to how many times the listener has already heard it. Lifetime ownership of the audio, no subscription, no recurring charge, and 4 free bonuses that arrive at the time of purchase, including a guided visualization from one of the highest-rated creators on a leading mindfulness platform, a resource on exactly which commonly available foods suppress the neural synchronization you are restoring, a classic text that has been the foundation of virtually every major manifestation method developed in the last century, and a design resource for building the kind of daily environment that sustains the activation rather than working against it. I want to be honest about something. The $39 price is not permanent, not as a technique designed to override your discernment and push you into a decision before you are ready, but because the architecture of how this offer is structured means the price on the page when you return may not be the price on the page today. I would not want you to come back to this message with a yes in your spirit and find a different number at the door. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment below this message. If your spirit confirmed what I described while you were listening, the link is the address and the door is open right now. I want to address something before I close the product section, because it is important and because leaving it unaddressed would not serve you well. There are audio products in the world that address the brain through frequency, products that have been on the market for years and that have helped some people in some ways. If you have tried them, you may have found that they produced some results and fell short of others. The Genius Switch is not that category of product. Neural sync technology is categorically different from brainwave technology. They work on different layers of the neural system. Brainwave approaches address a real but incomplete dimension of what is happening in the brain. Neural sync technology works on the synchronization architecture between the two hemispheres, which is the exact location where the disruption of creative genius happens and the exact location where the restoration of it has to occur. People who found brainwave products partially effective did not find the limitation in themselves. They found it in the technology. The genius switch works on the part of the system those products cannot reach. That distinction is not marketing language. It is the mechanism, and the mechanism is what separates a temporary state shift from a permanent restoration of what God originally built in you. This is not for everyone, and I want to be clear about that. It is not a general wellness product designed for a broad market. It is for the specific person who knows, from the inside, with a certainty that does not require external confirmation, that they were designed for something they have not yet been able to fully step into. It is for the one who has been faithful through a long formation season and who is now standing at the threshold of what the formation was building toward. It is for the chosen one who understands, after everything they have heard in this message, that the unprecedented thing God is doing in their circumstances and the unprecedented thing He is ready to do in their mind are not two separate events. They are the same event. The outer restoration and the inner restoration are two faces of the same divine act. If your spirit says yes to that framing, the door is in the description. One more thing, and then I want to close in a way that I have been building toward since the very first word of this message. I need to name something that is worth naming clearly. There will be people in your life who, when they see the change that comes from your restoration, will want to explain it in ways that reduce it. They will point to things they can see and say, those are the reasons. They will miss the invisible architecture of what God did and what you did in receiving it. That is not their fault. Most people explain change through the visible, because the invisible requires a framework they have not been given. You do not need them to understand the full picture, for the full picture to be real. The change that is coming in you does not require external validation to be legitimate. What God does in the secret place shows up in the public place without needing anyone to narrate it correctly. You will be the evidence, and the evidence will speak for itself. Type "I receive" in the comments right now, because what is coming for you is not a delayed version of what others received before you. It is the specific, unprecedented provision that was shaped to fit your specific, unprecedented story, and you are ready to receive it. There is something I want to say one more time before I close, and I want to say it more briefly than I said it earlier because the brevity is the point. What Dr. Barone built, what has been made available at this price through the link in the description and pinned comment, is the physical mechanism for the inner restoration that mirrors the outer restoration God is doing in your circumstances. You do not have to take my word for it. The $39 price comes with the money-back guarantee, which means the cost of finding out whether what I have described is true for you is effectively zero. The only cost is the decision to receive what was described. And the decision is the one that matters. If your spirit said yes while you were listening, the link is where it leads. That is the whole instruction. Let me close this message by speaking over you. Everything I am about to say is a declaration into the permanent record of your life, not a prayer for an outcome that has not yet arrived, a statement about a reality that is already in motion, already set, already sealed in the realm that does not have room for delay or uncertainty. Before I speak it, I want you to settle. Let the weight of what you have been carrying shift, not because it is gone yet, but because what I am about to say has authority over it. There is something I told you I would speak before this message ended. I said it early, and I want to honor the promise of it now. What I am about to declare over you is not wishful thinking dressed in spiritual language. It is the summary of what God showed me about what He has already done. I have been watching for the right moment to say it, and this is the moment. God, over this one who made you do something you had never done for anyone before, I release now the fullness of what was prepared before the foundation of the world was laid. What was held was not withheld. It was held in readiness. The person receiving it right now is the person that readiness was always waiting for. The holding season is over. The arrival has begun. I release from you the weight of the timeline, the one that said you were behind the others, the one that measured your journey against journeys that were not your journey and found yours wanting. I release it from your shoulders right now. I release the grief of every door that did not open on the schedule you carried in your heart. I release the confusion of every prayer that seemed to go unanswered and the slow, quiet erosion of confidence that came from not understanding why. I release the comparison that made the early arrival of those around you feel like your loss. I release every word spoken over you that named your delay as your failure. Every word that called your sensitivity a weakness. Every word that called your depth impractical. Every word that called your calling unrealistic. I release them. They were not the truth. They were the friction of a formation that was larger than those words could see. I release from you the belief that the capacity you currently have access to is the full capacity God gave you. It is not. What you have been operating with is a fraction of what He built in you, and the restoration of the rest of it is not a future event you are waiting for. It begins when you receive what was prepared for you. What God restores, He restores completely. What He reactivates permanently. What He designed into you at the moment of your conception does not expire. It waits, and it is done waiting. Every word that told you that what you are carrying is not worth carrying, I release it now. Every season where the silence of heaven felt indistinguishable from the absence of heaven, I release the wound that silence left in you. Every moment you looked at what others were building and wondered whether God was less invested in your story than He was in theirs, I release the comparison and the quiet grief it produced. Every time you almost stopped and then did not stop and could not explain why you did not stop, I release the weight of not having an explanation for your own persistence. You did not need an explanation. You were being held by something that did not require your understanding to hold you. You are the reason God stepped outside of His own pattern. You are the one whose waiting was architecture, not abandonment. You are the one whose calling deepened in every season. It went unconfirmed. You are the cycle breaker. You are the pioneer. You are the one who carries what has not yet been carried, who sees what has not yet been seen, who stands where no one in your lineage has stood before. You are not behind. You are exactly where the story requires you to be at this exact moment. And what comes next is not a maybe. It is a certainty dressed in an invitation. The invitation is open right now, and so it is. If this message needs to reach someone in your life who is in the middle of their own long and quiet waiting season, share it with them now. The name that arrived in your mind when I said that is the person. That is your assignment from this message. Take 15 seconds. You already know who it is. Gently press the like button so this message can travel to the ones who still need to hear it. And if you have not yet joined this community of chosen ones, join now. What comes in the next message builds directly on what was established here. Your arrival was not random. The link to the Genius Switch is in the description and in the pinned comment below. If your spirit confirmed it while you were listening, that confirmation is still true right now. Go find the link. Say yes to the restoration that was prepared for you. What God restores does not fade, and what begins today does not have an ending.